Do you know how to identify combustible dust hazard areas in your workplace? Let's start with the basics. Combustible dust isn't a singular substance. Rather, it's a term that refers to any fine material that has the potential to catch fire and explode when mixed with air. From grains to metals, plastics to dyes, many seemingly harmless substances can become hazardous when reduced to dust particles. Industries such as agriculture, pharmaceuticals, manufacturing, and even food processing are often at risk. This makes the proper identification and management of these hazards crucial. Here's the kicker. Combustible dust is often overlooked because its dangers aren't immediately obvious. But the consequences can be catastrophic. Explosions, fires, injuries, even loss of life. These are all potential outcomes of unmanaged combustible dust hazards. Identifying combustible dust hazard areas is the first step in preventing potential accidents. And that's where we come in. Stay tuned as we delve deeper into this important topic. The first step to identifying combustible dust hazard areas is knowing the sources of combustible dust. Quite a number of everyday materials can be a source of combustible dust. Let's start with wood. Yes, that's right, common wood dust can be highly combustible. Then we have coal, plastics and biosolids, which can all generate dust that's prone to ignition. Do you know that even sugar can be a source? Indeed, sugar dust can explode if it's suspended in the air and ignited. Paper dust, soap dust, dried paint dust and certain textile dust can also pose the same risk. Now remember, it's not just about the presence of these dusts. The key risk factor is when these dusts are suspended in the air in the right concentration and then ignited. Knowledge of these sources aids in the early detection of potential hazard areas. So keep your eyes open and stay aware of these common sources of combustible dust. Now that you know the sources, let's dive into how to recognize combustible dust hazard areas. Recognizing these areas is crucial to ensuring workplace safety. One of the most obvious signs of a combustible dust hazard is an accumulation of dust in work areas. This isn't your everyday household dust we're talking about, but a fine layer of industrial dust, potentially covering equipment, surfaces, and even rafters. Frequent cleaning to remove dust is another telltale sign. If your cleaning crew is constantly dusting off the same spots, it could indicate a dust hazard. It's like a silent alarm that's constantly ringing, warning you of possible danger. Now let's talk about signs of previous dust incidents. These may include scorch marks or discoloration on walls and equipment which hint towards previous minor explosions or fires. These signs should never be ignored or taken lightly. They are a clear indication that your workspace could be at risk. Observing dust clouds is another critical warning sign. If you notice clouds of dust in the air, especially when machines or equipment are operating, it's a red flag. Dust clouds can become explosive under the right conditions. Now let's touch upon specific areas which are particularly prone to combustible dust hazards. Areas with poor ventilation are a major concern. Proper ventilation is essential to disperse dust and reduce the risk of dust explosions. If air isn't circulating effectively, dust can accumulate, creating a potentially explosive environment. Confined spaces, such as silos or storage containers, are another hotspot for dust hazards. The lack of airflow combined with dust accumulation can create a ticking time bomb. In summary, to recognize combustible dust hazard areas, look for dust buildup, frequent cleaning, signs of previous dust incidents, and observations of dust clouds. Pay particular attention to areas with poor ventilation and confined spaces. Recognizing these signs will help you identify potential hazard areas in your workplace. These observations, combined with professional dust hazard analysis, will go a long way in maintaining a safe and healthy work environment. Identifying combustible dust hazard areas is just the beginning. Let's talk about prevention and control measures. Imagine a workplace where safety is not just a priority, but a culture. This begins with regular inspections and thorough cleaning. Dust, as we know, is sneaky. It finds its way into every nook and cranny, so it's essential to keep workspaces as dust-free as possible. Now, let's talk about ventilation. A proper ventilation system is like the lungs of a workplace. It breathes in fresh air and exhales potentially hazardous dust-filled air. Installing an effective ventilation system can significantly reduce the risk of a dust explosion. Next up, dust collection systems. These are like the vacuum cleaners of the industrial world, designed to capture and contain dust before it ever has a chance to become a hazard. But let's not forget about the most crucial component in this equation: the workforce. Training personnel to recognize and respond to potential dust hazards is paramount. A well-prepared and trained workforce is the first line of defense against dust-related incidents. Remember, each measure builds upon the last, forming a robust and comprehensive strategy to tackle combustible dust hazards. It's a continuous process that requires commitment and diligence, but the payoff is a safer, healthier workplace. Prevention is always better than cure, especially when it comes to combustible dust hazards. Combustible dust hazards can be complex and require expert understanding for proper management. Such expertise is what Dash Consult brings to the table. They offer meticulous dust hazard analysis, helping you to identify, manage and mitigate risks, ensuring a safer and more productive work environment. Don't leave safety to chance. Harness the power of professional help in managing potential hazards. Remember, safety first. For a comprehensive dust hazard analysis, reach out to Dash Consult today.